Joe. So we've had quite a busy couple of weeks behind the scenes in regard to the under 23s. So can you give us a bit of an update on what's going on with them?
Yeah, I feel like we're in a really good place with it. Obviously, with its first year last year, alongside the club transitioning into a hybrid model, it was important that we put certain parts of the jigsaw together early to give us a good chance to build it as we went along, which was always the plan. Obviously, certain players performed and excelled within that, and it's been really nice to have two and soon to be three of those stay with us, which is fantastic. And then within that, recruiting for this year has been really enjoyable. And obviously today, showing a couple of the new boys around with their families and giving them an opportunity to see where they're going to be coming and playing their football is great. So it's certainly put us in a good place to go forward. Obviously, there'll be their own group as such next year, but obviously still with some bits and bobs around the first team regularly, because it's so important for us that they get a feel of that pathway and what the first team environment looks like. So some of the lads will be exposed to that very, very quickly. But obviously, the reason we're bringing them in the building is because, like two or three of the lads last year, we feel they're good enough to come in and hopefully be a part of it as they go forward. So no, it's certainly an exciting time for us.
We have had a busy day today with signing four of the new players, two of which are under 19 players, and then two new players that we've obviously recruited from other clubs. Can you just give us a bit of a background of those players and where they've come from?
Yeah, obviously Ellis and Chris are two lads that have come through the system, which is great. And obviously for us as a first team management staff and obviously the board and the chairman, the whole point of the 23s was to try and bridge the gap between the academy and the first team. It's been a long time since a player has come out of the youth structure and into the team. So it was important for us to try and make sure there was a structure there for these boys to continue to improve and to hopefully build into what we're doing. Ellis and Chris, whenever they took part last year in 23s, whether they be in-house games or behind closed doors friendlies, showed up in the right way, not just in terms of players, but how they conducted themselves as young men. I'm certainly looking forward to working with them. Ellis, obviously a versatile defender, Chris a midfielder, that I think will just grow within it. And obviously with the 23s being their own group next year as such, they'll get that contact time together and with the other players we bring in. The two that you mentioned that we spoke to today, Jacob Scott is a very highly rated midfielder and defender, can play various positions from Northampton. Good mate of Dylan's, so he'll be very pleased to have him in here, I'm sure. Comes very highly rated from there, so we're excited to have him on board. And then Ed DeFern, who's coming from MK Dons, he's been there for his whole youth career. Again, another player that had very good reviews throughout, and every time we've seen him has certainly impressed us. So we're really excited to have them both in. Again, they fit the profile that we want as a management staff, because there's plenty of good players out there, but it's so important to us with the success we had last year, both the 23s and the first team, that we get the right type of characters and the right type of people. And obviously, we've done our homework and we're pleased with what we've done so far. And we're just really excited to welcome these boys in. And we look forward to helping them along their journey.
We did have a few success stories last year. One being obviously Dylan, who has signed for the first team, and then Jake Lovelace as well. We've also retained Oliver Wilson. So, what are the plans next year? You're hoping that a few of these new ones are going to kind of push through into the first team as well. Is that like what you're hoping for?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, that's got to be the goal. I've never been a believer, even when I've been in academy structures before, that when you get players in, especially at these ages, it should be with an eye of, we genuinely believe they've got a chance of affecting what we do at a first team level and pushing their way in. They're young, so they've got time. And I think last year there was, I'll use the word pressure, but there was a demand that these boys were very close to being first team ready almost immediately. And to be fair to all the boys that were part of the 23s group, they contributed in a really big way. And then obviously within that, we had some debuts, we had some that played a fair few games, and then we had the likes of Dylan that ended up playing a huge part throughout the entire season into the playoffs, which was brilliant. But among those that you said that are staying, obviously, great to have the three boys back. And it's pleasing, even with the likes of Ollie, who picked up a couple of really unfortunate injuries, that it's not just the fact you've got a break in now, that he's got more time to, hopefully fulfill his potential. We think a lot of him, myself, the gaffer, Baz, and the team, and we hope that he stays injury free and that he can add something. Obviously, we know Jake, a local lad and a very popular figure around the place before we came, and we now hope that he again goes on to fulfill his potential. Dylan's got to continue on the path he has done. But then within that, I want to also touch on the boys that won't be with us. Obviously, Tyler Knowles, albeit it was a little while ago, did contribute in a really big way to our season last year. And obviously, life got in the way to a point, which we respected. But again, we thank him for his contributions. Alongside that, Ryan Hand, Will Hall, Sam Essiam, three really hard-working young men that put a lot in last year. And, you know, wherever they go in their careers, I'd certainly wish them every success. And I know that extends to the whole of the management staff, but we feel that it was good to retain a decent core of that. And then the boys that come in, it will be nice to see how they can complement what we already have, but obviously also put some more bricks in place in terms of making the 23s bigger and better.
Have you got plans for any more recruitment with player wise, and also in terms of like games and how that will work? Can you just give us a bit of an update on that?
Yeah, I mean, we played a lot of games last season behind closed doors as such. Obviously, we played the likes of Notts County and Peterborough and some non-league adult senior teams as well. But obviously, with the amount that the boys were playing in and around the first team group, these games were probably more few and far between than we originally envisaged. But at the same time, the key was to get lads in and around the first team, so it served its purpose. Now it's about going one step further with the group becoming its own group as such and training more often together. It will hopefully give us more of an opportunity for these boys, one, to get contact time, but two, to play fixtures together. So we've got plenty of links and plenty of contacts to make that happen. Obviously, there was the option to put them in a league. We didn't think that was the right thing to do, mainly because with it being about individual development, there'll be times where lads go on loan. There might be times they get themselves in and around the first team picture, whatever it might be. And I don't want boys being stuck in under 23s games if they've got their own development, which has got to always take priority. But that will certainly be something going forward that we'll look to do more often. And then obviously the key being, can we get them in and around the first team as and when possible?
And then just kind of to finish off, is there any kind of updates that we can give fans in terms of the first team? Like, I know recruitment recently has been going really well. Is there any kind of gaps that you're still kind of looking to fill, or, you know, can we see any more signings coming up soon?
Yeah, I think the best way I can put it is if we can add to the group and if we can make the group better, we'll always look to do that. Obviously, it's still a very, very early stage in the summer. There's still a lot of different dominoes that will fall in different places, and that's at 23s and first team level. But myself and the gaffer, when we've spoke about it, we've always been very process driven in terms of we want the right type of characters, we want the right type of people, as well as their player profiles to come in and add to what we've already done. Obviously, recruitment isn't just about the new people, it's about keeping the best people around the building. And I feel like we've done that with a majority of them. To get them back here was brilliant, and it shows a lot about them. And, you know, beyond that, seeing lads go on and achieve what they've gone and achieve, the likes of Jimmy and Kels, is fantastic, and we're so pleased for them. We wish them all the best. But of course, we'll look to add to the group where we can. But again, we'll never rush into it. We want to make sure that on this next part of our journey and this new challenge, that we get the right type of people for the fight that's coming. And we're also infused and excited by it. I mean, we're sat here now, I think it's the second or third week in June. I hate June. As much as I enjoy the recruitment side and all the bits and pieces, the phone calls, the meetings, I just want to get back on the grass. And we're all excited for the new challenge. From the 23s point of view, it's been so enjoyable this summer, you know, speaking to the players and looking at so many talented boys. Obviously, it's a process that doesn't start when the last ball's kicked at Brackley. It's something that goes on all season. We've got a brilliant recruitment team, Sam, Sean, and all their boys behind the scenes that do so much work. And with the 23s and suppose first team to a degree, I know people probably get frustrated because we keep our cards very close to our chest, but that's because we want to make sure as much as possible we get it right. In recruitment, that's impossible. There ain't a club in the world that always gets it right, but I think we've done okay up to now, and I think there's a lot to be excited about. From the 23s perspective, there are some really talented young players that I believe are going to come into this football club and make a mark. And that isn't about making the mark in 3-4 months. It might take a year, it might take 2, but we want to give them a platform within that. We've got an academy here with a lot of budding young footballers, with a lot of people behind the scenes that work very hard. We want to create something for them, and beyond all else, they've got to be good enough. But we feel we've got some good processes in place. We feel like we've got a few irons in fires that, you know, we'll obviously take a look at. And come the end of pre-season, I think we're going to be in a really good place, both as a first team and a 23s. And as I keep saying, it's a process. It takes time, and we're just going to keep putting that jigsaw together. But it's a time to be excited, and we can't wait to get that first ball kicked off and see where it all takes us.